Back around the year 1990, a gentleman named Peter Lynch, who ran a very successful mutual fund for Fidelity Investments, wrote a book called One Up on Wall Street. The aim of this book was to help average investors profit from knowledge that was difficult for Wall Street stockbrokers to take advantage of. Mr. Lynch is one of those rare people in any discipline who calls it quits at the top of his career. Much like James Brown, he laid that football down, forever solidifying his position as an investing legend, smart man. Lucky, too. Now, companies like Fidelity in the financial industry have what is called a fiduciary duty to their customers. This means, in essence, that they have a responsibility to act in the best financial interests of their customers. Oh, if only this concept applied to that greatest of all Ponzi schemers, the ones who make the late, great Bernie Madoff seem like an amateur, the folks operating the Social Security Administration. This is one of those situations where every year when I see my Social Security statement, I manage to be shocked, thinking to myself, wow, I can't believe they got away with that. Well, I'm sure it will change next year. Then next year comes, and wow, I can't believe they're still getting away with this. Well, I'm sure that next... Now, if this kind of information ever appeared in any document issued by Fidelity or any other investment company, the executives at a company would be in jail quicker than you can say Occupy Wall Street, and they should be. The reason is that the information in these statements is nothing less than provable, documented, widely distributed financial fraud. And the reason for this rests on a concept which that old dullard Albert Einstein called the greatest invention in human history: compound interest. Because of compound interest, $1 today is worth more than $1 10 years from now, and much more than $1 50 years from now. Any guesses about how much $1,000 would be worth adjusted for inflation if invested in a balanced financial portfolio after 50 years? At least 10,000. Any guesses as to how much $1,000 invested in the Social Security system would be worth in 50 years? Substantially less than $1,000. Great deal, right? This is blatant financial fraud. Strong word, but that's what the feds would be calling it if it was being done by Fidelity. And this will never change because the Social Security Administration is the judge, jury, and in this case, executioner of the financial futures of millions of Americans. The arithmetic, once again, is inescapable. Now, I'm going to completely give them a pass for constantly referring to something called the Social Security Trust Fund, which in fact doesn't exist. There is no such fund. With each year, this Ponzi scheme gets deeper and deeper into debt with no realistic end in sight. Old people like me are going to soon run out of young people's money to spend, and there's nothing on the horizon that is going to change that. But the real tragedy becomes apparent when you compare what a Social Security recipient would have if they were able to invest their money conservatively outside the Social Security system. Every single income group on the scale loses. This analysis from the Heritage Foundation actually provides an extremely rosy scenario for Social Security recipient accounts. That's because they don't count the millions of unfortunate folks who don't make it to their retirement age and end up paying all that money for absolutely nothing. If you've ever bought a home, you've probably noticed the section in the mortgage agreement which indicates how much more you are paying over the course of the mortgage than you're actually borrowing. Borrowing money costs money. Why are we letting the government borrow our money for free or even less than we are paying them? Now, I'd be much more comfortable, not happy, but more comfortable with this if we got honest information in our Social Security statements, telling us exactly what was going on. This is about as far from what we actually get as it could possibly be. Sometimes you hear people say that these numbers are incorrect and the Social Security system is actually a great deal. Well, you know what they say about statistics. You'll also hear people say that it's not supposed to be an investment, that it's a contract between the old and young workers so that old workers will know they're being taken care of. If it is, it's a highly convenient contract for the 63,000 employees at the Social Security Administration, not so much for the participants in the contract. This contract may have made some kind of sense back when there were 42 workers contributing to the system for every one retiree. Any guesses as to how many workers per retiree are contributing now? About 3. Not surprising then that many young people don't believe they're going to get anything at all from Social Security. Why, as my grandfather used to say, why in the Sam Hill can't we have an option in the Social Security system? By all means, continue to take people's money without their consent. By all means, don't give them access to the money until retirement. Just keep taking it the way you always have. But give people the option of how their money should be invested. In any real-world scenario, it would be impossible for anyone to do worse over an investing lifetime than what is now happening. And nearly everyone would be much, much richer. Now, as with all big changes, there would need to be a period of time to deponzify the current crooked system that pays current Social Security recipients with current Social Security taxes, sans trust fund. But the transition really would not be all that complicated. Milton Friedman has a great outline for this in his book, Free to Choose. So now I have a request for the head of the Social Security Administration. I respectfully request that you include the Heritage Foundation chart or something similar in all future statements. In this way, we who participate in this Ponzi scheme can get a more accurate picture of where our money is going. If you want to try to convince us that this is still a good deal, by all means, do that. But please, stop sending us fraudulent information year after year after year. That's really starting to annoy.